Okay, here comes the inevitable. We knew it was coming. The push to forcibly vaccinate children. As if all the rest of it isn't bad enough, you can't leave all those billions of dollars on the table. I mean, you had to know better, right? So, you knew it was coming. You knew they would come up with whatever ridiculous argument they possibly could. One of the ones I'm hearing a lot is, kids already have to be vaccinated to go to school, so this is no difference. So literally any vaccine, I suppose, using that logic, doesn't matter what it's for. I mean, kids have to be vaccinated. Somebody says they need this vaccine, so we just accept it. We don't actually think about it. So the purpose of this post, which was, looks like it was downvoted twice already, is to try to get people to think about this from a different perspective. All right, here we go. Is there any vaccine that you would think is unnecessary for children? Or are you 100% vaccine obedient? And I know that sounds like a pejorative, and maybe it should be considered a pejorative, but I guess if people who actually like to think about whether or not they require a vaccine before they take it, if those people are considered vaccine hesitant, then I suppose the only other term for the other side would be vaccine obedient. They say you got to have a vaccine, you take the vaccine. You don't think about it, that's it. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to this. Is there any vaccine that you would think is unnecessary for children? So I'm asking this to a person who says the kid, it's no big deal, kids are already vaccinated. Okay, well, is there any vaccine that you think a kid shouldn't be required to take? Any vaccine that you would think they might not need? Or are you 100% vaccine obedient? Case in point, with regard to a vaccine that might be unnecessary. The CDC's own numbers estimate an infection survival rate of 99.998% in the under 18 demographic. And what that means is 999,980 kids out of 1 million would be expected to survive a COVID infection. Also, it's worth noting, I'm saying this as I'm talking to the person, it's worth noting that the expected fatalities would be counted among children who are already hospitalized with serious life-threatening illnesses. So it's not just like the kids you're thinking about that are running around in school. These are very, very unhealthy kids. But let's get back to the question here. Do you think that it makes sense to perform an unnecessary, irreversible medical procedure on 999,980 kids under the guise of potentially protecting just 20 of them? And the follow-up is, if they say yes, if so, is there any point at which you would think that it would be unnecessary to inject children with a particular vaccine? So if 99.998% infection survival rate is not good enough, would you accept a 99.999% infection survival rate? You realize that that's the infection survival rate that they claimed people who got vaccinated would enjoy, but those numbers aren't panning out too well at this point. But originally, that was good enough, 99.999%. So the question becomes, if they say, okay, well, yeah, that would be good enough, you're literally talking about 1/1000th of 1%. Now, taking that into consideration, have you given any thought to the reality of adverse reactions that are going to occur and how those will outweigh the benefits? And have you listened to any of the experts who have explained unequivocally that the risks far outweigh any potential benefits, going so far as to say you will kill more children than you will save if you vaccinate them? If they say 99.999% wouldn't stop them, then say, is there any number? 99.9999%? What if it was one kid out of 10 million? Are you so insane that you would think it was okay to vaccinate 9,999,999 kids who didn't need it? I will say it again, folks. There are a lot of us. Apparently there's at least 80 million in the workforce. Is that what Biden was talking about just the other day? 80 million is a lot of people. That's a hell of a lot of people. You would think that maybe there would be a way to organize all those people into a one-issue group and exert some serious influence. We already know that politically powerful people have the ability to escape these mandates. So, last I heard, the mandate doesn't apply to our representatives in Washington. And don't get me wrong, the hypocrisy is irritating, but I don't think anybody should be forced. Postal workers too, I think. I like my mail carrier. I'm glad he doesn't have to be vaccinated. I do this. I'm going off. So I'm just presenting this as a way to hopefully make the person think. Make the person consciously think as if they have the capacity to think. If you were in a position, would there be any point at which you would say, okay, that's ridiculous. This sounds like a money grab. This sounds like somebody's trying to push 999,980 additional vaccines into kids because they're going to make a lot more money on that than they're going to get just focusing on kids who are at risk. End of rant.